Lesson 10, Part 2, Aorist passive indicative. The aorist passive indicative is formed like this. Aorist passive indicative equals augment plus sixth stem plus secondary A endings. Pause the recording for just a moment and notice what you see that is what you would expect and what you would see that is what you wouldn't expect. All right, so we need to notice that first off, there is no theme vowel, which is pretty common for aorist, though we're not used to seeing it for second aorist, but again, we don't have a first and second aorist in the aorist passive, so just none of the aorist passives have theme vowels. Second, the endings are secondary, which we would expect since this is a secondary tense, which is a past tense. Ooh, but three, the endings are A endings, which is not what we would expect. Normally, middle and passive take B endings. Now, this is actually an exception that we're going to see across the board when we get to other moods. We haven't studied any other moods yet, but when we do for the aorist passive subjunctive, that's also going to take A endings. For the aorist passive imperative, that's also going to take A endings. For some strange reason, aorist passives always take A endings. Now, the secondary and the primary will still follow what it would normally do, but they're going to take A endings. So just sort of log that away as a very common but strange exception. Then 4, also note, now this is very important, in the indicative, the epsilon at the end of the stem gets lengthened to an eta. This also happens with the infinitive, but not with the participle or the subjunctive, which we haven't learned yet. So you can't see this from the formula, but looking at the part that says sixth stem in the formula, we're used to seeing a theta epsilon at the end of the stem. When we're actually forming the aorist passive indicative, that epsilon is going to lengthen. It's not a theme vowel. It's just that the epsilon of the stem is lengthening. So the conjugation of blepo in the aorist passive indicative looks like this. Oh, this isn't about blepo, this is baptizo. Ebaptisthein, ebaptistheis, ebaptiste, ebaptisthemen, ebaptistete, ebaptisthesan. I was baptized, you were baptized, he was baptized, we were baptized, you were baptized, they were baptized. Now, note the third person plural ending is san, not just a nu, and that also helps us to not have the first person singular and the third person plural look the same. I believe we saw this before in the aorist active, I think. It's showed up one place before. So summary, aorist passive indicative equals augment plus sixth stem plus secondary A endings. And in the aorist passive indicative, the epsilon at the end of the stem gets lengthened to an eta.